Hello, good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to have us here this evening. You're all welcome. My name is Bolabo Omoni Okudero, your host on HR Mentorship Series, Public Service HR Mentorship Series. You are welcome. You are welcome. I'm so happy to have us here. It's my pleasure to have us here together this evening so that we can learn together. This is the second edition in the month of November. What a great opportunity to be on the call this evening. I'm so happy to have all of us here. We are starting right away. We are not going to waste time. We are going to start immediately without wasting time because we have full capacity already. And it's unfortunate that is full already. So for those who cannot join us here, please join us on the YouTube live stream. We are streamlining it live. We are on YouTube, so we can join us there. It's so easy to join us there. It's so easy to join us there. Like we normally do on this platform, Public Service HR Mentorship Series, where we shape HR and we elevate the public service. Once we shape the HR, we believe strongly that every other thing will begin to fall in place. You are welcome so that we can shape the HR together. But I just want to, before I will introduce our speaker today, our facilitator, before I will introduce the facilitator, I just want to say one or two things concerning those of us that will be writing SIP, that will be participating in the evaluation program, 2026 promotion evaluation program. For those of us that will be participating, I want to say that on that day, starting on Tuesday, I want to say that it's so easy I'm praying that it will be so easy for all of us to participate and come out with flying colors. It's my prayer. But I want to say that when we get to the venue, or maybe I should say that after we might have read, prepared enough, we should not forget that we need to get to the venue very early enough, at least 30 minutes, if possible, 1 hour. If possible, please, can you confirm that you can hear me so that I won't be on the call alone? Please confirm. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this confirmation. So that, yeah, good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So when we get to the venue, at least 30 minutes before the time scheduled for you. But if possible, 1 hour, so that you will have settled down and relaxed very, very well. You will have relaxed very, very well. That means you need to wake up on time. You need to wake up on that day on time. If you need to set alarm, set alarm. If you need to sleep around the PSSDC, please do so. It's just for that particular day. Don't say, I don't know how to sleep outside. No. Sleep around, lodge somewhere, escort with somebody. Make sure you get to the venue on time. Please, please. That's number one. Number two, dress well. We have been informed by the Civil Service Commission that we should dress well. We should dress formal. So dress well and then look good. Okay, thank you. Look good and locate your venue, your class on time. For instance, you should have known by now that this is your exam number. And I want to advise us, that slip that we've been given, please, at the back of the slip, write your user name and your password. Use pencil to write your username and your password at the back of the slip. You won't be looking for where your slip, I mean, where I'm sure you won't be looking for your slip. And once you get your slip, you will have your password. You will also have your username. So write it behind, legible. Please let it be legible. Write it very, very well behind your slip. Write your username, write your password at the back of the slip. That is one. When you now start the exams, when you start the assessment program, when you commence, be rest assured that if you don't start, the time will not be clicking. Once you start, it will be clicking. So read the question very fast. Be very fast in reading the question, but slow down in picking answer. Please don't rush at picking your answer. Is dangerous, but you can be very fast in reading the question. Read the question very fast, and if the answer does not come readily as you are reading, you should know what the answer is. But if it does not coming forth that way, as in you are reading and you are not getting to know what the answer will look like, just read it. Look at this question. If you are not sure, please flag it because of time. Flag the question. I'm also talking to myself because I will also be writing. And these are the things I need to tell us, because that's what this platform is all about, to make sure we get better on everything we do when it comes to public service. So read very fast, but slow a bit in picking your answer, because I'm very sure when it comes to CBT, there will be two answers that will look very, very, very similar. They will look very, very similar. So you have to be very careful in picking, especially when you have dates. When you have for instance, something is going on, okay, it has ended at the auditorium. Today is International Day for Tolerance. International Day for Tolerance, 16th November 2020, every year. Sorry, 16th November every year. So if you are now reading, and 16th November of every year is for which celebration? You now see, because you have seen 2 November, others are October, you now quickly want to pick 15th of November. No, it's 16th of November. So when we have dates like that, we have to be very careful in picking the right option. We have to be very careful in picking the right option. So when you get to pick your answer and you don't know, the answer didn't come speedily or readily, flag it. Flag the question and come back when you might have been through with all other questions. Come back and now look at those questions that you have flagged. And when you flag them, please, when you are flagging, there will be answer that will cross your mind. Pick that answer first, then flag and come back. You know why? If you don't pick any option and you flag it and you just go through, and time will not permit you to come back, and that thing submits automatically, you might lose that particular question, and what you have picked might be the right answer in the first place. So pick one answer that you know it could be, but flag the question, flag it and come back. Once you come back, you now read it again and be double sure that the answer you have picked in the first place is the right the right answer. Then when you are submitting, be double sure you click submit, even if you have enough time. Go through, and then come back and submit that your assessment. It's my prayer that we will go through the assessment program and we will come out with flying colors. We will come back. So how do we flag? Yeah, we were taught how to flag. Somebody is asking that question. How do we flag the question that you're not sure of? We were taught how to flag. And then if you don't know how to flag, when you get into the that day, there will be answer, what's it called? A template, like answer sheet, like what you will be shading. When you shade, you will see that your question, and when you answer and when you pick answer, you will see that that particular, like we were showed that day when we did what was it, simulation. When we did simulation, we were shown and we saw it that when you flag, it will show red color. Okay, when you pick answer, the box will be shaded somehow. Things like that. These are the things that we were taught that day, and I pray that we will all come out with flying colors. We will all come out with flying colors. So I want to. So I want to share. I want to quickly introduce our facilitator today. So our facilitator today is no other than the Director General, Lagos State Public Procurement Agency. He has a very inspiring profile. I've read through, and I needed to just work on the profile so that all of us can enjoy it. So let's meet Mr. Fatai. Mr. Fatai Idowu Onofowote is a shining example of what dedication, competence, and continuous learning. I've been hammering on continuous learning on this platform. What continuous learning can produce in Lagos State Public Service. Mr. Fatai was born in Ketu, Erunye. He rose from a humble beginning as a seed officer in 1992 to become the Director General of the Lagos State Public Procurement Agency, a position that he currently holds after being reappointed by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu in 2023. With a BSc second class upper in agricultural biochemistry and nutrition and a master's degree in information science, Mr. Onofowote embodies the power of education and personal development. His journey spans agriculture, project management, procurement reforms, and leadership roles across major World Bank supported programs. He played a key role in drafting and implementing of the Lagos State Public Procurement Law, strengthening transparency and accountability across all MDAs that he has worked. His commitment to excellence has taken him to global learning platforms like Canada, Amsterdam, Dubai, and Dublin, showing that growth in public service requires continuous exposure and international self-improvement. Mr. Fatai is a fellow of multiple professional institutes. He stands as a model of ethical leadership, capacity building, and public service integrity. Beyond work, after all, he values his family. Okay? Beyond work, he continues to learn. Beyond work, is a swimmer and actually a balanced life generally. And I want to say that this story reminds me or everyone on this call that if you stay consistent, if you stay competent and stay committed, public service will surely reward your excellence. So like I've been saying, it's good to embrace continuous learning. It's good to embrace continuous learning and see what continuous learning has done to Mr. Fatai. He is the Director General, Public Procurement Agency, Lagos State. Please, with your emojis, with your chats and all sorts, help me to welcome Mr. Fatai. While I will bring down my slide, I will pull it down, and Mr. Fatai will bring up his slide. You will wonder that Olaiton is not here with me today. Yes, it happens sometimes like that. Fariga is not also here. It's because they are very, very busy somewhere else. It's still about this continuous learning. It's about continuous learning. So help me to welcome Mr. No for water. Mr. For water, please share your slides as we continue in this journey this evening. Thank you so much. I've pulled down my slides. Please share your own, Mr. No for water. Share your slides, please.
Let me begin by saying thank you very much for having me. I want to believe you can all hear me.
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir. Loud and clear.
Oh, great. Then you can also see my slides.
Yes, it's coming up. We can see your slides.
Yes, so thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome, sir.
Privilege that we can have so many people on this call. I'm going to be speaking on the procurement process flow and what you and I, as public servants, need to know. Now, the first slide is speaking to public procurement. Because we are public servants, we must procure. So public procurement is a sustainable acquisition, underlying acquisition, and at the end, disposal. Another keyword, two keywords there, acquisition and disposal of goods, works, and services by public bodies, by your organization, by my organization, using public funds. The fund in our hands is a public fund, so it is expected that we use it in a manner that is efficient, in a manner that is professional, in a manner that is auditable, in a manner that is transparent, to the extent that is beneficial to the society, and particularly by a third party. There are quite a number of keywords there. All the issue around professionalism, which is what public service promotes, transparency, which is also what civil service promotes, is captured in public procurement. And for you to procure, it should be handled by a third party. That's very critical. Now, let me mention the fact that Lagos State public procurement is guided by procurement law, public procurement law that was signed on the 15th of March 2021 by the governor of Lagos State, the current governor, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu. But before then, we were running with the law. It actually started in 2011, in the days of Mr. Babatunde Fashola. He signed the law in 2011. There was a slight amendment to the law in the year 2015. But there was a much broader amendment that permitted public hearing, and which you call the involvement of a critical stakeholder, and that became the law that we are currently using. This was signed 15 March 2021. And I think this needs to be clear to us. Peradventure, you need to state clearly the law that we are currently using. This law has been amended to ensure that we are in alignment with economic reality and we are doing best practices in Lagos. And who are affected by this law? The law of the agency and every other document, call it regulation, guidelines, extends to any public body in Lagos State that is engaged in procurement, utilizing the state fund, utilizing public fund, and this includes my ministry, your department, your bureau, your offices, extra-ministerial offices, all parastatals, all corporations, all the universities and colleges that are state-owned, all government institutions, all local government and local council development areas, as well as their derivative units. Nobody is excused from following the law in carrying out their day-to-day activities, which involves procurement of goods, works, and services on behalf of the government of Lagos State. There are 6 core principles that guides public procurement. The first one is economy. Economy because resources are always limited. So where we can take advantage of combining a number of things to enjoy some economy or reduction in price, it is encouraged. Efficiency, doing things properly and doing it in record time. Efficiency. You don't have to allow or permit delay, because sometimes when you are supposed to do a thing and you don't do it, it may not be achieving the purpose for which the approval was given. Fairness. You need to be fair to service providers. You must not be caught promoting conflict of interest. You must not be biased in doing the business of government. Transparency. Whatever you are doing should be done in a manner that is transparent, that promotes what is good for A, is good for B, is good for C, except if they are not participating. Transparency. The quality, you must put quality as a priority. You should not go for inferior product because of your own economic gain. Quality should be uppermost in your mind. Whatever you procure must be able to stand test of time and serve the purpose for which it is procured. Value for money, that is a language that is common both to procurement officers, auditors, accountants, and various accounting officers. We must always ensure that there is value for every kobo that is spent. This also applies to all public-private procurement. The only thing is that PPP is a model. Every activity involves one procurement or the other. The only reason why you may want to use a model like public-private partnership is because sometimes the budget of government is not adequate to achieve the level of development that is desired. And as a result of that, you may need to encourage those who have funds from various sources to also bring in their fund, and you use PPP model to carry out some of our activities. When you are doing so, you are still doing procurement. You are only not using the budget of the government. You are using the fund that is coming from other sources. That's why sometimes you hear about ISPO, irrevocable standing payment order. When somebody uses his fund for us to achieve a purpose and is getting paid on month-by-month basis through the DMO, which is Debt Management Office and State Treasury Office. Now I move straight to procurement cycle. And this is very, very critical to us. Every procurement requires that you lay a solid foundation. you need to plan it. You need to plan it. Most ministry departments and agencies carry out one project or the other. These projects are expected to be properly planned. And so you need to have what we call business case for most of your projects. So when you have a business case, you will have established who can help you to achieve it. Your ministry may not even have a project department. When that is your situation, you know that you need support of Ministry of Works. You need the support of Ministry of, that's Office of Infrastructure. And you may also need to get some sign-off for you to be able to implement your project properly. You also need to understand at the foundation level that you may need to seek approval, one form of approval or the other, from accounting officers, from the governor of the state, from relevant stakeholders before your project can see the light of the day. Then there's another part which is called request for documentation stage. Here you need to be able to define the scope of assignment. Even if it is services, it is always important to speak to what we call deliverables for services. For goods supply, you will be talking about specification. Specification is the minimum expectation that you want your supplier to perform. It can be better, but should not be less than what you have in your specification. I give example. If you want a laptop, for example, you should be able to define the hard disk capacity, the size of the screen, the random access memory. I'm just using that as an example. And so on and so forth. Whether it's going to have these days, it's going to align with artificial intelligence and be able to do some functions that you must carry out in your ministry. If you are a ministry that is involved in drawings, in photo pictures and videos, you also need to recognize that the hard disk capacity or the processing speed needs to be fast to the extent that you are able to deliver results in good time. So your specification must speak to what you want to achieve your result without delay. So as a user, whether you are talking to your department that is in charge of what you want to procure, as a user, you need to be able to define what you want. If you want to build road, for example, you need to also be able to define various components of the road in terms of materials that will be used that will make the road to endure. If you want to build schools, you need to understand, maybe do your survey, understand the terrain, and also know the minimum in terms of the type of foundation and what have you that will be put in place for you to have a school that can stand test of time. All of this comes up at the point of documentation. When you are putting your document together, defining your scope, defining your specification. The reason why you need to get it right at this time is because when you send out your document, those who pick your document that we call third party should not be asking too many questions. Your document must not have too much ambiguity. Your document must be very clear. What you want to achieve must be very clear by a third party who is studying your document without asking too many questions. Reason being that most times the time you give for service providers to respond is usually not much. So there's no room for too many questions. Then there are times you only encourage them to do site visits or visit your office to ask questions. But there are days that those opportunities are not there. So as much as possible, remove ambiguities from your document. Let your document speak volume. Let what you are asking for be very easy to comprehend and decode by third party. There's also the need to approach the market. Approaching market, in the market, we have suppliers, we have contractors, we have consultants. These are people you are going to be doing business with. And at this particular stage, you are issuing procurement document. There are different types of procurement document depending on what you are actually trying to achieve. Is it a work assignment or supply assignment or supply and installation? There are days you need to extend invitation to bid. There are days you need to extend document that speak to what we call pre-qualification. There are days you need to extend document that you'll be talking about expression of interest. There are days that you'll be talking about request for quotation. There are days you'll be talking about request for proposal, depending on what you want. There are times that you issue bidding document, you are only talking about small works, and there are days when you talk about large works, and so on and so forth. When you extend document, you give time for suppliers to return it. That's why I said the time may not be so much for them to be able to return. So sometimes you give 2 weeks, sometimes you give 3 weeks. In fact, these days, when some of the requests are not very clear, service provider requests for extension of time by themselves. But that's why we say remove ambiguity as much as you can. Let the content be clear to the third party who is studying your document. Now, when you receive return from service provider, because in procurement, you must be seen to be promoting competition. And that's one thing that encourages transparency. You will need to evaluate the return that comes from service providers. It is done in evaluation that you are able to separate the boys from the men. You separate the serious-minded service provider from those that are not as committed. But some people may not actually understand their capability. It is at evaluation that you are able to establish who can do the volume, the size of contract that you want to give out. All of this come out during evaluation. So evaluation, at that evaluation stage, there's what we call evaluation subcommittee. The evaluation subcommittee is a subcommittee of the tenders board. There's what we call tenders board. Tenders board, we have tenders board in each of the ministry. When you are in a parastatal, we call it parastatal tenders board. When you are in the ministry, we call it ministerial tenders board. Evaluation subcommittee only make recommendation based on what they receive from the service providers. So they want to guide you as tenders board to be able to make informed decision. And most times we encourage that when you are putting your evaluation subcommittee together, ensure that there's an expert who is knowledgeable about what you want to do. At least an expert who is knowledgeable about what you want to do. So at the end of everything, the decision that is taken is an informed decision. It's coming from those that have the expertise. So when tenders board is considering it, they will not be making too many mistakes. So that is very critical. So tenders board ratify the work that is done at the level of the evaluation subcommittee. There are times, depending on whether it's contract or services, there are times when you permit negotiation. When negotiation is permitted, especially in consultancy, you use the opportunity of negotiation to expatiate on any area that looks ambiguous, so that the person you are doing business with actually have a further understanding of what you want to do. At this particular stage, you are agreeing. And so you are next to signing an agreement or finalizing an award process. And when an award is given, the award comes to PPA. When an award is given, award comes to PPA. When an award is issued, Ministry of Justice issue agreement. So between PPA and Ministry of Justice, there's letter of award, there's agreement. And that is where some administrative charges and what have you comes in for PPA, and agreement goes to Ministry of Justice. It is upon doing what we call acceptance letter, payment of relevant, making of relevant payment, that any service provider who is considered is seen to be serious in executing the contract. These days, one of the things we request for is performance bond, or call it performance guarantee. In order to ensure that we are only doing business with committed service providers, we will always insist that there must be a performance bond or performance guarantee. It's usually a percentage of the contract. Sometimes we take it to as high as 10%. Sometimes we stay at 5%. So when all of that is done at that level of negotiation and award, there's what we call contract management. Contract management is another ball game entirely. During contract management, service provider may even need your help. When they need your help, you may need to introduce them to the site. Sometimes they even have problem at the site and run back to you, such that there's no misunderstanding between the community and the service providers. When that happens, you must hold progress meeting to ensure that nothing frustrates what government is trying to do or to deliver to the citizens. So there's contract management, there's contract monitoring, and at the end, when projects are delivered, that is when everybody is happy. A project that is not delivered is not going to serve the purpose for which you initiated it or for which you intended it. So that is very critical. And after everything, project is commissioned, project closes, then we can start another project in other location. And a number of projects can be running pari passu. A number of projects can be running together. I want to share with you what we call procurement process flow chart. It's not a serious departure for what I just explained, except that there's an element of a yes and no as an arrow that returns your document when it is no. This procurement process flow chart is also talking about planning your procurement, making sure that you have budget provision so that you are not accused of violating the appropriation law. When you have a budget approval, then you are sure that you are ready to execute project and contract. Then what does PPA do? Thank God this is about November. PPA has released circular as I speak with you that concerns processes for 2026. The whole essence is to improve your understanding of what you need to put in place, the procurement planning committee that you need to put in place, such that whatever you want to do in 2026 is supposed to have started now gradually. You should be building your business case now about whatever you want to do in 2026, to the extent that you need to be able to establish who can help you in getting some of your activities carried out. You must be ensured that you have a vote. If you don't have a vote, you go and plead for AIE. AIE is a process. But if you have a vote, you are better. That is why you have an arrow that is showing if you don't have AIE, you may not be able to go forward. But if you have AIE, you can move forward. Upon having AIE, you can initiate procurement process. After that, you see a boss that is speaking to accounting officers' actions. There's a lot of action that happens around accounting officers, which may require them going back and forth, ensuring that necessary political will to support your project is in place, ensuring that memo sees the light of the day, memo moves from one table to the other, and memo gets approval. When memo gets approval, then a lot of other things can begin to happen. Tenders board meeting is held. When you hold your first tenders board meeting, what you are clearing is the procurement method. And because PPA approves procurement plan, you are ordinarily supposed to align with what you have proposed in your procurement plan. But where that is going to change, PPA needs to clear it. And that is what is happening at the first tenders board meeting that you are carrying out. When your method is approved, then you will develop necessary document. I've spoken to documentation using the cycle, and issue your solicitation document to your service providers. When you issue document to service provider, you are expecting them to bring it back. So what service providers submit to you is called bids. Bids is what they submit. Is, like I said, you could have done pre-qualification, you could have done expression of interest, you could have just done one invitation to bid or the other, inviting bids from service providers. When they submit within record time, you do evaluation and make recommendation. When your evaluation is approved, you move forward. And so that's why when you see arrow, when it is not approved, it comes back to the subcommittee to reconsider it before it goes back to tenders board for approval. When tenders board are approved, PPA reviews. If PPA is satisfied with this review, PPA issue approval instrument. The different approval instrument that is issued by PPA is called letter of no objection. We have letter of confirmation. We have certificate of compliance. We have letter of confirmation with support to SMEs. 4 different approval instruments is issued by PPA. It's a function of the kind of activity that you are carried out that determines the kind of letter that you get. There are times when you ask for a wrong approval instrument, PPA will look at it and ensure that what is given to you is the right instrument. Now, if you get that right at this level, you can now begin to seek approval of governor or ESCO, as the case may be. When you get an ESCO of the governor, if you do it right and every other initial process has been done, you are ordinarily supposed to go to award, letter of award. And it is when your award is right that you bring that to PPA for registration. You register your award with PPA, PPA registers your award, and you can return that, and the project you can talk about project kickoff. When your project kicks off, any service provider that wants to be mobilized by whatever percentage is supposed to submit advance payment guarantee or advance payment bond. Advance payment guarantee is a mitigation that we collect from service providers to ensure that when public fund is advanced to you for activity that you have not carried out, then the public fund is protected. So you must always go either to the bank or insurance to get an advance payment guarantee or advance payment bond if you want to be mobilized for contract for which you have not actually committed any fund by yourself. So when an advance payment is presented, that gives some comfort to the finance and account to raise voucher in favor of the advance payment that you are demanding for. When the voucher is raised, yes, then auditors at the internal level also do their own due diligence and check to ensure that everything is correct. And thereafter, we are already talking about contract management. The service provider is getting ready to collect funds, having submitted relevant papers. You send it to OIA. OIA also, by rule, check and ensure that you have not flouted any financial management rule. If you flout a financial management rule, OIA will flag your voucher and return it with questions. It is upon answering that question, you send it back to OIA, then they move it to STO and the process of payment. I must mention to you that payment by itself is also a process and which also follows has its own requirement. When that requirement is met, payment is made. For project that requires milestone payment, payment is made based on milestone achievement. I have just explained the flow, but you will observe that there are broken lines on the flow. The whole essence of the broken line is that some ministries have refused to shift with time. So what they understand is what they have been doing in the past. It's been working for them. They are locked to it, and we don't want to force them out of it. But as a process office, as a regulator, each time you rush into doing that, we are quick to bring you back into doing the right thing. So that broken line, if you observe it, it starts that you have taken your memo to Mr. Governor and you got an approval. So upon securing approval, ordinarily, if you have done the process, you are supposed to go to award. But because you have not done process, the broken line has now taken you back to conduct of tenders board meeting to check your plan whether you are using the right method or you are not using the right method. So that will now force you to follow due process, issue relevant document, and continue along the flow process. So that is the essence of the broken line. But ordinarily, if you had followed the process, writing memo to seek approval is not the first thing to do. Process is supposed to occur. You must be able to show and demonstrate that you have carried out the process before you put your memo together to seek governor's approval. But in the absence of that, PPA is quick to return you to say, do your tenders board, let PPA clear your tenders board based on method that you have in your plan, whether it's right or wrong, or you are asking for a different method altogether. That's the flow process that I've explained to you that we all need to understand. We can also still ask questions on this process. I know by the time I finish, questions will arise, but it's important to first and foremost explain the intention of that flow process. So that's about the flow. I'm trying to move forward. Let's see, the system seems to be misbehaving, but don't worry, I'm going to outsmart it. I'm going to outsmart the system now. Maybe I've taken too long explaining the process. System seems not to be moving, but I'll try and see what I have. While it's not moving, I'll see what I'm supposed to tell you next, pending the time is moved. Somebody is assisting me. So immediately after the process flow, ordinarily, we are supposed to be talking. Thank you. Process, it has moved. It has moved. So we are supposed to be talking about how do you manage procurement in the various procurement offices that you have in your ministry. There is a procurement unit or department in every MDA. This procurement office is responsible for managing all procurement-related activities, working closely with other critical stakeholders to ensure that we are in compliance with the procurement law. That office plays a very key role in maintaining transparency, efficiency, and cost effectiveness in the procurement process. What do? They do market and statistical survey and prepare analysis of the cost implication of your various procurement. They initiate procurement activities. They gather requirements, aggregate requirements. Don't forget, I've spoken to economy of scale somewhere. They aggregate requirements between entities to obtain economical gain and reduce costs. We have gone past these days when people will be saying planning unit separate from public affairs unit. I want to do my own, different from planning unit. Office of the PS, separate from the office of the commissioner. Office of the PAU, other technical offices, they want to do that things differently. Meanwhile, what they require can be put together and aggregated to enjoy economies of scale. But this issue of working in silo is still affecting you and I, that to the extent that the people in planning do not want to work closely with the people in PAU. I think we need to go past that. These days, people need to work together. We need to be promoting team in our various offices. So procurement office will encourage you not to do what we call contract splitting, because to be doing separately, to be working separately is to be promoting contract splitting. So things that you can aggregate, please aggregate them to the extent that we can enjoy economics of scale and have reduction in procurement cost. That's part of the essence of the procurement office that you have in your ministries. Then working with you to develop technical specification, working with, engaging with other stakeholders to also conduct pre-bid conference where necessary. Procurement office is involved in preparation of the bidding document and also supervise development of tenders. Procurement office carry out or conduct pre-qualification exercise for service providers. And when they need to do pre-qualification, they also ensure that upon approval of a procurement plan, necessary pre-qualification is done for your various activities. So it is not when you want to carry out that activity that you are now running from pillar to post to decide where are the service providers, who is going to do it, who can do it. Meanwhile, you could have done pre-qualification earlier and gather your service providers for the various activities that you want to carry out in a particular year in a manner that is competitive. So procurement office also ensure that advertisement and publications are in conformity with the law and regulation. Then where they need to communicate with bidders, they also organize and communicate with bidders. Procurement office is supposed to maintain procurement records. So anytime we need procurement records, they are the ones that we call. So any record that you're supposed to provide for them, please give it to them in good time. Then they are also to coordinate evaluation of expression of interest, document that is submitted by consultant, and forward list of qualified submission to PPA. So anytime you are doing expression of interest, they are going to coordinate, and when you need to evaluate, those service providers who can do what is expected to be done, then they also let you know. That's the procurement office for you. That's what they do. So we need to work together as a team to ensure that these activities are carried out and is seamless. We have introduced quite a number of reforms within the procurement space, and I'm happy to inform us that as I speak, the political will has been demonstrated by Governor of Lagos State. 169 MDAs have already been onboarded. In fact, only a few days ago, when we organized the summit, the additional 10 MDAs that were approved in 2025, we demonstrated equipment for them, because anytime from now, we will cut them out. We will not allow them to bring paper to our office again. They will upload it from their various offices, and we will receive it on the portal. So e-procurement has come to stay, and it has improved our efficiency. It has improved the manner and the speed at which business of government is done. So the procurement plan template has been revised, and we continue to do what we call process simplification. We keep simplifying the process to the extent that it is understood even by a layperson who is not a procurement professional. We keep talking about change management. We bring people together on a round table to tell them about every new thing that we are doing in procurement. The law continues to enjoy review to ensure that it is in alignment with realities. Regulation also enjoys review, because when things are changing, Lagos State is never left behind. When we need to issue letter of confirmation to encourage SMEs, we encourage it, to ensure that we are seen to be promoting small and medium enterprises without necessarily promoting conflict of interest. I'm not going to dwell on conflict of interest tonight, because it's another ball game entirely. But one thing that procurement as an agency does not promote nor encourage is conflict of interest. Then we conduct post-review of your project. We go around to ensure that we check your records and ensure that every of your documentation is properly packaged. Because sometimes when you don't package it well, it's a reflection of how much you are not doing that you're supposed to do. Then we also go out on capital project monitoring. When we identify capital projects, we go out to ensure that also contractors are on their toes to ensure that projects are delivered to the benefit of the citizens of Lagos. Those are the things that we have been doing. I'm not going to, I'm supposed to allow you to ask questions now, but I must not forget to mention the fact that the procurement agency is governed by a board, and procurement as an agency has been given some powers, and we have always been operating within the powers that is given to us. So those powers, there are quite a number of them, and I don't want to bore you with them. But there are opportunities for people to complain when they are not satisfied with the bidding process. I think I need to mention it. We call it administrative complaint. Service providers have rights to complain if they are satisfied. If they are not satisfied, pardon me, with the way they are treated during the bidding process. That process actually requires that such a service provider initially writes the affected MDA to officially complain. If he's not satisfied with the response, he has the right to write to the agency to lodge complaint. If the agency does not respond within record time, all of these have time within which we must respond. The first one is 15 days, within 21 days by the agency. Then if it's not satisfied by the agency, they can complain to the board. If it's not satisfied with the board, can complain to the executive council of the state. That is the administrative process that has been put in place to ensure that on the side of government, nobody feels oppressed or cheated. On the side of the service provider, nobody feels cheated. So when we are doing our business on behalf of government, we must always see ourselves as representative of government. When service providers come, they go out with impression. So we are the people that they are looking up to. We are the government of the day. So when they go out of our offices, they go with impression. So anytime they meet us, let us treat them well. They are customers. So we understand that, and we always consider our customers first, our customers as king. So we urge every other person within the public service space to always recognize that we are customers to each other, and we need to treat ourselves very well and with respect. Customer is a king. We need to have listening here. We need to be ready to listen at all times and always be ready to provide results, or call it solution, to challenges that the public is bringing. So anytime they meet us, they want solution to their problems. So they don't want problem to be added to their problems. So when they bring problems, let us always be ready for solution. Let us be solution in our be solution providers from our minds. So a lot has to do with our mindset. Let us work on our mindset, develop growth mindset, not fixed mindset. Always see yourself as the solution that that person is looking for. Always be a solution provider. So I'm going to stop here, and I know by the time questions starts coming, I will be able to attend to some other issues that will be relevant to especially our people who are doing promotion. I'm ready to also support them to ensure that every information that they require to bring out the best out of them in the next 2 days is also provided for them. Thank you once again for this opportunity. Public Service HR Mentorship, I hail you. I appreciate you. This is an opportunity for people to ask questions. I'm going to rest my own case here. While when questions come, I will now answer them.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for a very insightful session, brief and concise. But I will not allow you to rest now, sir. Don't put down your slides yet. Please, everybody, please appreciate the DG PPA, Lagos PPA. Please appreciate. Send in your emojis to say thank you, sir, for this opportunity, for coming on board, for coming on this call, sharing your knowledge, what you have known. But sir, before I will allow questions to come in, I want to ask that you add this to it. You mentioned that the PPA is under the control, under the control of a board. Please, can you help us with the composition of the board and some other how will I put it? Other regulatory cautions put in place to guide the implementation and the running of the PPA office. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. There's a 7-man board of the agency, and I'm going to list them one after the other. And that is the way and as accepted by the law. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
The Honorable Commissioner for Finance is the chairman of the board. Also on the board as a member is the Honorable Commissioner in the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget. And the third ESCO member in the board, on the board is the Honorable Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice. Now, those are ESCO members. We also have ex-official members. They are not in the executive, that they are selected from the public. We have a member of the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply Management of Nigeria, a member of the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply Management of Nigeria. That's number 4. We have a member, a former member of the House of Assembly, Lagos House of Assembly, a former member of Lagos State House of Assembly, a former, not a serving.
A former, noted, sir.
A former. Then a member of civil society organization relevant to procurement.
Yes, sir.
A member of civil society organization relevant to procurement. And the Director General is the secretary. So 7 of us are members of the governing board of procurement.
Noted. Okay, so I won't be the only person asking question. I want to give room for others on the board to ask their question now. So I will open the floor. I will call on your name. You will unmute yourself. Then you will ask your question. Please, I want you to be concise with your question. Go straight to your question and don't beat around the bush. Please, I appreciate if you can manage our time so that we can leave on time. So many things to put in place. So I'm unmuting you now, Miriam Ogunkoya. Please unmute yourself and ask your question quick. Miriam Ogunkoya.
Thank you very much, sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening, DG, and good evening, everyone on the call.
Good evening.
My name is Ogunkoya Miriam. I'm from Lagos State Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. And my question is, the DG mentioned while he was presenting that when an award is given, Ministry of Justice like sort of automatically issue an agreement. But we found out that sometimes some projects would have been ongoing or completed, and we still have issues on the agreement. So I want to confirm, is it the PPA office that forward request for agreement to MOJ, or the user ministry that forward the request for agreement to Ministry of Justice? Thank you, sir.
Okay, can I respond to that quickly?
Yes, let's do it that way, sir, so that
okay.
I think it's good that way.
That's
take
better.
it.
It's better that way.
Yes, let's take it, sir.
A letter of award comes to PPA in quadruplicate, 4 copies. As soon as it is stamped, 1 is retained in PPA, 3 will be returned to the MDA. Each MDA is supposed to have a legal officer. The legal officer in the ministry is supposed to facilitate how a copy of that letter of award gets to Ministry of Justice for purpose of coming up with agreement. except if your ministry does not have a legal department. The legal department is supposed to facilitate. So upon three that is returned to your office, our understanding is that for purpose of voucher, one goes to account, while one may have to be given to the service provider. But one will go to Ministry of Justice through your legal department.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I'm sure that has been well answered. And I go straight to Ogunbore Lilian. Please unmute yourself, ask your question. And I want to say that if your your intended question must have been attended to, please lower your hands, then we'll know who and who we will call on. Thank you so much. Ogunbore Lilian.
Good evening, sirs.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for your lecture. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
Sir, please, I want to ask a question. I'm from LASUT. In LASUT, we have a procurement department already. Does this procurement, is it that it's compulsory for everyone to have an idea?
Ogunbore, is that your question? Oh, I think
we lost her.
We lost that call. We lost that call.
But I think if I understand the question, she wants to know if it's important for everybody to understand procurement.
Yes,
my answer will be yes.
Very yes, big yes, sir.
A big yes.
All right. So, Mrs. Damo Smola, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Doki.
You're welcome, my sister.
Brother. Good evening, DG. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, man.
Thank you so much for your time, sir. In your presentation, sir, you mentioned that there are 4 types of approval instruments. I got letter of no objection and certificate of completion. But I didn't get the other 2.
Okay, please, I will repeat it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Letter of no objection.
Take it slowly, sir.
Slowly. Letter of no objection. Certificate of compliance. Letter of confirmation. Confirmation with support to small and medium enterprises.
Confirmation
with support to small and medium enterprises.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
So, Mrs. Tawa Kalitu Oladele, unmute yourself and ask your question fast.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for the presentation, sir.
You're welcome.
My questions are this. Number 1, procurement officer. Is this the same thing as planner? Then I want to really get the whole thing clear. I want to cite an example. For instance, if government want to construct a road in a particular area, how does the process go? Thank you, sir.
Sorry, Mrs. Oladele, where are you calling from, please? Where is your office? I'm
coming from HSC, Service Commission.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Okay. Can I quickly respond to that?
Yes, sir.
Procurement officers are separate from planning officers. All procurement officers actually emanate from public procurement agency. They are professionals in procurement and due process. Planners, call them budget officers, call them planning officers, come from Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget. Both work together, but there's a delineation in terms of the work they do. The budget officer works closely with MEPB to ensure that you get votes. Procurement officer ensures that due process is followed in utilizing the vote. So there are two different officers, there are two different professionals, and they are, even though they handshake, but everyone understand exactly what they need to do as far as getting the results that we desire in our various ministries, departments, and agencies. Construction of road, a lot has to do with construction of road. The budgeting process has what we call consultative fora. During consultative fora, economic planning goes out to various communities on zone by zone basis to take needs. All those needs are put together and handed down to relevant ministries. If it has to do with road construction, immediately after the consultative forum that they hold, they forward those locations to infrastructure, Office of Infrastructure. Office of Infrastructure is going to develop a business case around those locations where road is required. And they will do their due diligence to provide costs to all of those roads, because we cannot do all roads in a particular year. So when they develop their business case, based on available resource, government will be doing by those roads according to resource that is available. So whatever can be done in the particular budget year is done, and that which is not done is moved to subsequent year. That is the way we identify roads that needs to be done, and how we develop business case around them and use available resource to decide which one we want to do this year and which one has to move to another year. That's about road construction.
Thank you, DG. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. So, Miriam Ogunkoya, please unmute yourself. Miriam Ogunkoya.
Thank you very much, sir, once again. It's actually another quick question. I know that there are a lot of processes to that has been undertaken at the PPA office in terms of reviewing documents from user ministries and departments. I just want to know, what is the SLA, the time frame to issue feedback, and also in terms of when the request passes the required condition, how long will it take for PPA to revert back to ministries? Thank you, sir.
I love that question. Yeah, because PPA is trying to get chartered. So we are finalizing on our service level agreement and commitment to the citizens of Lagos State, including internal and external customers. If your record is correct, if everything that you need to upload has been uploaded, thank God for technology, within 48 hours, you will get a response with respect to adequacy or inadequacy of your submission. If everything is right, you are going to get your response within 48 hours. If everything is also, if there are inadequacies, you will also get a response returning your request with those omissions clearly outlined so you can provide it. That will also happen within 48 hours. But I urge you to ensure that documentation in terms of our expectation is met, so that on no account are documents going back and forth. It is not our wish that we return requests, but many a times some documentation are not properly packaged because one item or the other may be missing, and that is why it is returned to you. But if everything is okay, within 48 hours, you will get the kind of instrument that you expect from the agency.
Without wasting time.
Without wasting time.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so I want to believe that there are no more questions, no more hands raised. So you have done justice to those questions. Okay, somebody is quickly raising hands so that we can, let me attend to you. And then there are no questions in the chat box, no questions. Thank you, DG, for what you have done for us this evening for demystifying the procurement flow in Lagos State. Let me listen to Mr. Rahima. Oh, sorry, this is Mrs. Rahima Busari. Busari. Okay, so Mrs. Busari, please unmute yourself. Ask your question quick.
All right. Good evening, presenter, as well as other participants present on this call. I want to thank you for this presentation, which is very apt. Thank you so much. So my question is following from the last two questionnaire. Those approval instruments, can you explain to us when it is being issued so that we can understand further? Thank you.
Thank you. Valid question. Thank you very much for bringing this matter up. And I'm particularly happy that it's coming now. I didn't want to bore us with explaining each of them. Let me begin with the letter of no objection. And let me begin by saying, in our typical procurement plan, our activities are divided into two. There's what we call prior activity, and that's prior review activity. There's what we call post-review activity. When activity is prior review, it means that every stage in the procurement cycle will pass through PPA. And sometimes that can hit into the time that we want to achieve results. So if you ask PPA, we want to minimize prior review because it's one thing that makes some people feel that there are delays. So we want to minimize delays. And that's why we are trying to simplify the process. Now, when an activity is required to pass through PPA at every stage, and you get letter of no objection at every stage, at the end of that process, what you get is called certificate of compliance. It means that every stage along the line, you have done the needful, you have secured necessary no objection, you have scaled all necessary hurdles, you deserve a certificate of compliance that moment. So that's the time that you get certificate of compliance issued to you. Now, don't forget I said in between, during prior activities, in between, you get some letters. Those letters that you get in between is called no objection. I'll give an example. If an activity requires an advertisement, when you clear the advertisement, when you send the advertisement to PPA, PPA clears it. What we give you is no objection to go and advertise. When you issue the advertisement and over time, service providers return their bids and you want to evaluate and you now send to us that you want to evaluate, we also give you a no objection. You go and evaluate. When you are finished with your tenders board and you have made recommendation, we also give you no objection. If at every stage you are getting a no objection, at the end of the cycle, when you are getting to point of award, you will get certificate of compliance. That's prior activity. Like I said, we don't want to do most of our activity as prior activities to eliminate delays. Now, post-review activity. Post-review activity means after the initial clearance of your procurement method, where you get a no objection, to go and continue with an approved method, you will carry out your process in your ministry. When you now finish, before you get to award, the last request that comes to PPA to say, we have finished, PPA, review it, is it okay? What you get at that time is letter of no objection. You know that it's not all the stages that pass through PPA. Some stages you have done at your end, but you're at the end of it. But just before you award, PPA reviews finally and clears you. What you get is letter of no objection. So it means that in between certificate of compliance, you get no objections. And at the end, you get certificate of compliance. But in a post-review activity, you get a no objection to approve your method. You get another no objection to say you have finished the process, you are going to award. That's letter of no objection and certificate of compliance explained. Now, the two other letters, letter of confirmation. Some of our activities are just programs. Some activities, some processes have been predetermined. People would want to go for training. People want to go for conferences. People want to go for one program or the other. Ministry of Establishment has predetermined what we are entitled to. What you get under that circumstance, because a lot of things have been known. People want to get one form of assistance or the other in the area of medicals, in one other area. What you get at that point is letter of confirmation. Some element of that process has been predetermined. So you get letter of confirmation. For some programs that does not require procurable items, you are not going to do any procurement inside that program. What you also get is letter of confirmation. Now, the last one, confirmation with support to SMEs. There are programs that we organize, and there are procurement elements inside those programs. However, because they are programs, you want the fund to come to your ministry, so you will not go cap in hand, get a small amount initially, then go and get the balance. Because they are largely programs, you will request that you are issued confirmation, because you are ready to ensure that the procurable element, which is going to be handled by small and medium enterprises, you will handle it in your ministry through your procurement office. That is the fourth instrument, confirmation with support to SMEs. This is particularly relevant to programs that you organize, that some procurable elements form part of what you are going to do inside that program. The fund will be with you. You will procure every procurable item following due process, and come back to PPA to register the award. So the entire fund will sit in your ministry. Sometimes you call it PS check. But the fact that it's a PS check, the moment there's procurable item inside that program, you will follow due process to procure those procurable items in the program. But the fund will be with you, so that it's easy for you when the service provider delivers, payment is not difficult. Your accounts department will ensure that service provider who has delivered get paid. That is confirmation with support to SMEs. I think that explains the 4 instruments: letter of no objection, certificate of compliance, letter of confirmation, confirmation with support to SMEs. Those are the 4 instruments that PPA issues.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. DG, thank you so much for this explanation on those 4 vital documents. Thank you so much. Yeah, I can see in the chat, but somebody is asking that you repeat the composition of the board. There is no need for you to repeat, sir. Please, as many that want to watch this video again, you go to the YouTube channel, watch it and enjoy yourself. Me, myself, I'm watching it again and again, listening to past videos so that I will internalize all that we have done on this call. So please go back so that we can save time. So on the YouTube, sir, somebody is asking, and the person saying, please shed light on the face of P2P. P2P. That is one. That's one question. Let me just take it on the YouTube so that I can have time to come back here. Yeah, somebody saying, please, sir, what is the difference between engagement letter and award letter? Engagement letter and award letter.
Okay.
Somebody is also asking, sir, how long does it take for a letter of award to be ready? Somebody is asking, how long will a letter of award be ready to, be ready? Somebody is also asking, sir. I'm so sorry to rush you.
Please go on, no problem.
Somebody is asking, can a person have a level certificate and have a professional certificate and do conversion? That question is not clear enough, but maybe this will now help us to clear that question. Somebody is asking, what does it take for one to be converted to procurement cadre? That's what somebody is asking, sir.
Okay, the P2P
yes, sir,
element is largely handled by a procurement officer in the various MDAs. But what I understand about the P2P is that the moment every other process has been done and we're getting to the point of payment, the list of service providers is generated on the Oracle, and necessary purchase order based on training will also be generated. But initial process will have been completed. The person that deserves to be paid will have been determined. And that's one area where PPA has handshake with both MEPB, Science and Tech, as well as STO. So one of the things that we have done is to ensure that our service provider, the moment the registration is done and on our database, and you can participate in the bidding process, your name, the name of your firm is going to enter into the Oracle. So the moment it's in the Oracle, necessary purchase order will be generated in your favor. And it's as a result of that purchase order that other processes will be handled by the procurement purchase order. And so Oracle is still seeing us as doing purchases. Fine. But because it's much more than that, the first leg of it is being handled through your procurement office and procurement department or unit. And that is why it is procurement officers who go to the Oracle to ensure that it is the most responsive service provider that gets paid, that gets issued a purchase order and gets paid thereafter. That's about P2P, the issue of purchase order and payment. Now, difference between engagement letter and award letter. Now, engagement letter is usually used when it is a service that is going to be provided, consultancy service largely. So we engage, we do engagement letter. But for me, it's semantics. Now, I will also speak to some few things about award letter. Award letter is saying you are notified. You have been, your firm has been found to be most responsive among those who participated in the bidding process. For award letter, most times the contract cost is known. For award letter, most times the contract cost is known. But beyond the award letter where contract cost is known, there are some services where cost is yet not determined. They are what we call success-based activity. I'll give you an example. Somebody is committed to assisting Lagos to recover debt. That moment, the service provider is ready to provide a service, but is not sure of how much is going to make in terms of naira and kobo. He may now be demanding for a percentage return when it does provide that service. For such a service provider, the best you can issue is an engagement letter. So when you issue an engagement letter, that is a power that you are giving to the person to go and recover debt on your behalf. So when he recovers the debt and you already engage with him on percentage based on amount recovered, so it is upon the recovery that his own amount is going to be determined. If, for example, you agree on 20%, if he realizes 20 million, he's going to go home with 4 million. That is a 20% of 20 million. So every other criteria will be made clear to him. Oh, deductions, every other thing. But what he will get to go and carry out that activity on your behalf is an engagement letter. So engagement letter is largely for activities where the figure, the contract figure is not known, but the person is going to the field on behalf of the state to go and carry out some activity. So he's engaged. So he carries an engagement letter, goes out there, and is doing the business on behalf of government. Another critical example is those who go around to help us to collect land use charge. They may not be able to determine how much they will recoup, how much they will bring in, but there's an understanding that the much you get, you are going to be entitled to a percentage of it. So that is a success fee contract. So what you get is an engagement letter. That's the difference between engagement letter and an award letter. So for most award letters, the amount of the contract is known and is determined. So that's about it. Now, for award letter in PPA, if you package it well, if there are no errors, there are no misrepresentation, there's nothing outside what the law permits, you can also get it back in 48 hours. But where you do not package it very well, you did not represent the contractor properly. Let me give an example. A firm is an entity that can be sued and can sue. So you need to represent firms exactly what they call themselves in CAC. But we have observed that sometimes, maybe as a result of being in a hurry, if a firm call himself FI Limited, limited written in full. Now, if you bring the award and you write FI Ltd, you have misrepresented the firm. That is not the name of the firm. If there are issues, when you get to court, that firm will deny that name. But if you represent the firm very well, exactly the way it is captured, both in the Corporate Affairs Commission and on the database of PPA, you will get your award back in 3 days. But where you didn't package your award letter very well, then the element of back and forth also comes in. I think that solves the issue around how long it takes for an award letter to come out and difference between engagement and award letter. Then how to convert to PPA, how to convert to procurement.
Yes,
I think
sir.
is the last question, and I will make effort to answer it. Now, establishment as a ministry has issued a circular long time ago, 2013 precisely, to speak to what we call scheme of service and what you must have to come into procurement. The area of your area of specialization largely, and all other things that you must have as an entry requirement. So every entry requirement is also a minimum requirement for conversion. So if you have all those entry requirements, minimum, oh, you are a QS, you did social sciences, you did some other courses, business admin, commercial related courses, then you are not beyond, recently, you must not have gone beyond the level 12, because procurement is also a place where you need to learn. And so when you need to learn, it's good for you to start at a lower level so somebody can teach you. But if you have become Oga, it becomes difficult to teach you. It becomes difficult to train you. So that's why one of the things PP has done is to write to commission to say anyone who is asking for conversion must not be beyond the level 12. But you must also meet those establishment requirements for converting to procurement.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You will do CBT also. Let me not forget. Most recent circular. If you are interested and you have met all those requirements, you will also come and do CBT.
Yeah.
To see and demonstrate that you are really committed and you are techie. Thank you.
So CBT, writing CBT to be converted to procurement officer after this evaluation program will no longer be difficult anymore.
Yes.
So DG, we have 2 more questions, and I want you to please, 2 or 3 more questions. What I want us to just do to these questions that we can leave and get prepared for tomorrow is to say yes, no.
Okay.
Yes, no.
Okay.
The one that comes first. Somebody is saying from the chat box that which come first, the procurement plan or the procurement plan or the budget plan for a fiscal year. Which one comes first?
Draft procurement plan comes first.
Okay.
And that is why we explain it in the circular that we issued against 2026 budget.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Draft procurement plan comes first.
So somebody now says, please, can we change process after the procurement plan is approved?
After procurement plan is approved, procurement plan is not cast in iron. Procurement plan is a dynamic and living document. The only thing you may require to do is to seek necessary approval and clearance of PPA, and it will be so considered. But procurement plan is not cast in stone. It's a living document. It can be revised in the course of implementation.
Thank you so much, sir. So lastly, somebody says, please, sir, can we have the list of the procurement planning committee of the MD?
The list of procurement planning committee is very straightforward. The accounting officer is the chairman of the procurement planning committee. All heads of department and units are members. Procurement officer is the secretary. That's the list.
Is it taken? Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us here. So on this note, we want to draw the curtain of today's Public Service HR Mentorship Series. And then by the grace of God, we will meet again the first Sunday in the month of December. God sparing our lives. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, what we